Hi, my name is Salvatore. I make videos for science, and today I'll share 5 basic tips to make a nice and polished video essay. Plus, at the end, I'll share a little secret. If you're watching this video, you're probably used to keynotes or PowerPoint presentation. So, I guess you might be thinking, what if I pretended to do a Zoom conference, hit the record button, shared my screen, and then carefully explain all of my slides to my audience? Will that count as a video essay? Well, technically, yes, but chances are that at the end of this video, you'll choose another way. Video is about movement. Usually, when people are about to watch a video, they expect, nonetheless, to see things moving. Whether it's some simple text appearing on the screen or some intricate visual art, when you think about making a video, you need to look for a way to approach your content, visually and dynamically. Movement in video is not only about things getting there, from there, and so on. Movement is also about taking reason with it. In storytelling, for example, characters experience a journey that will change them for good. Most of the time, they physically move from the Shire to Mordor in order to face the bad guy, but in the end, their inner movements stand out the most. So, to find a movement that fits your content, look for the bigger picture.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo.
What's the real goal of your research? What problem is the research trying to solve? What will happen if no one ever found out the truth? You get the idea. Multimedia means a lot of media. Literally, it means that when you communicate with a video, you're using picture, sounds, words that are all mixed up. Things can get messed up so easily. When I review students' presentations, I notice one specific tendency that virtually everyone has. It's an occurrence that I like to call the bucket. We're all familiar with the need to fit a lot of content in a short amount of time, but that's not an excuse to stuff everything you got in one single slide. In visual communication, too much information means no information. One step at a time. Simplicity and clarity are mandatory when it comes to visual communication. You want both content and form to be as straightforward as possible.
Look, before we get started with any of this, you might as well know right off the bat I had a vasectomy.
A simple form is an act of creativity, because you need to figure out which way is the best way to deliver your content. A simple content instead is the result of a calculated strategy. Look deep inside your bucket and figure out what's strictly necessary and what's not. Science dissemination is about spreading the love for science and moving your audience to find out more. You really don't need to say everything, only you need to say it wisely. Now that you've simplified your bucket in a cute little handful of essential content, it's time to give it a form. Take it one step at a time. Explore every single element and see how it matches with the other. Put an element after the other while you keep in mind the first 2 tips. Make them move and don't let them crowd. Watch out for the reading time. There is a neat rule of thumb that can help you figure out the form of your story. Every single thing you perceive has a reading time. It means it takes some time for your brain to receive an information, elaborate it, and store it. Reading times differ so much. For example, how long does it take to elaborate this? And this? Or this? So, when making a video, if you rush too much, the viewer will lose track of your logic, and if you linger, you'll lose his interest. Movement in video depends also by the synchronization between your editing choices and your audience's sensibility. If reading time is not synced with the audience, even the most dynamic action scene will feel stiff. So I guess you're wondering, how do I calculate the reading time of any element? Well, you can't. No one can. What all artists do is making their best bet and then having reliable voices like friends and colleagues to test it out for them.
You're genius. You're genius.
Originality doesn't exist. One of your worst enemies is your inner need to be original. However, originality is actually an empty word. As a scientist, you certainly know that in nature nothing can be created or destroyed, because everything is just a new mix of old flavors. Still, we all believe in originality the same way we believe in unicorns or dreams. We really want them to be real. Originality is at its best a perfect excuse to shut up. Since you can't be original, you might as well surrender to your shame, lock yourself in a room, and rot.
Buongiorno, Angelique.
Buongiorno, Angelique.
Being original is not difficult at all, because it's impossible. You know what's hard instead? To say what you gotta say.
I had a vasectomy.
Originality is there to cover what you really want to say. How many times you didn't say what you had in mind because it didn't sound so original? So, whatever you will say with your video, if you give up on originality, I promise that nothing will happen. On the other end though, I have a special technique to evaluate your efforts. And here comes my final little secret. What really matters is passion. There are hundreds of manuals out there that can teach you lots of techniques to seduce your audience. Still, if you're passionate about something and you never read any of those manuals, it is likely for you to steal the show even if you don't want to. Think about those conversations that suddenly become interesting. When that happens, the topic of the conversation is just a romantic gondolier. The best way to approach your topic is to take it from the most effective point of view, meaning whatever makes you passionate about it in the first place. Show me why you love that particular thing. Pave a way for your audience so they can understand how you feel. Okay, time for a recap. In order to make a video essay do its job, you need to 1. Think visually and dynamically. 2. Use little media, even if you have a lot of it available. 3. Carefully select what's really important to make your point and cut out the rest. 4. Ask yourself how much effort your audience needs to read your content. 5. Forget about originality and say what you gotta say. And finally, let your passion instead of your knowledge inspire you.